I never cut anything. Oh,
Gotta
what's
ruin
up?
the image, you know?
What's going on, guys?
Chilling, bro. What are you saying?
Yo, we got a little heated with our discussions that we're having just before this
The pre-podcast discussion. It
podcast.
was friendly. It was friendly. It was not heated.
It wasn't heated. It was just very passionate, you know? Because, like, yo, for the people who are listening, every time we hop on a podcast, we're like, yo, what do we talk about today? And today, this topic came up. We're like, is the gym therapy? Can you consider the gym as therapy? And I think we had some differing opinions. So I think you guys will like to hear this. In terms of is the gym therapy, we'll just start with the yes or no answers. Is the gym therapy, Rounit and Manraj?
I think it depends on the individual.
Is it yes or no?
It's gonna like yes or no. It's gonna put us
Yes or
in
no.
the middle.
I would say,
We start off with yes or no answers. Yes or no. Ronan's like, here.
I would say,
Middle.
I would say no, but it could be yes in specific scenarios.
Okay, Manraj.
What would you say, Kegs?
I would say yes, it can be considered therapy.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah. I'm in the middle too, yo. Kind of hard to say. I'm in the
I'm
middle, but
not
I would
saying
say,
I'm not saying the gym is gonna replace a therapist. I'm just saying it can be a form of therapy. There are lots of forms of therapy. People do like
For,
drugs as therapy, bro. Why the
for
fuck
sure.
can't the gym can be therapy?
but yeah, to that definition, then anything can be therapy, right? Like drinking coffee could be therapy.
Fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, everyone needs getaways, right? So gym could be a getaway or like it could be a I think the way I would look at it is like this is why I said like depends on the person. Because if you're literally like going through like crazy stuff and you're just like ignoring all of it just because you go and like lift heavy ass weights, and then that's gonna make you forget all about it. But when you come to real life, everything is still fried. Like you literally didn't improve like your job situation, career situation, relationships, nothing, right? But you're just like, you know what, I'm just gonna go forget about it in the gym every single time and you repeat that pattern. Then I think it's like, yo, you're using it in the wrong way. But then if you use it as like, okay, you had like every morning you do it as a thing of reset, have a fresh start, so you're clear for the day, you have productivity, whatever it is, or like middle of the day, whatever you choose to do it for. Then I think it can be maybe labeled as that. But I think it really depends because you still want to do stuff outside the gym that will make you think better or like whatever thing you're going through that you're trying to just ignore. So if you're coming from an ignoring aspect, then I don't think it's a good move. But I think you're coming from like an aspect of like, you know, do you actually want productivity in your day and you want to be more clear, then sick.
Yeah, but I think most people listening to this, or not even listening to this, just in the world, they don't exercise, they don't eat properly, they don't move, they just fucking sit here and they sit at a screen and they eat whatever Uber Eats or McDonald's, and then they go back to living life. There's no exercise. It's like that's like the basic rock they can cover to just feel better, right? All the endorphins and shit you get from the gym, blood flowing. Even if it's not the gym, if it's just like exercising, you're gonna feel so much better. But I feel like with everything that's promoted now, it's like, yo, go to therapy. Go get on fucking antidepressants. Go on random shit. Like it's so normalized, bro. Like when I go
Yeah.
to university, there's like half the girls are on shit. And it's like, yo, what the fuck? You drink iced coffees every day. You don't even eat. And then you binge on random shit. You don't even exercise. But this is the first thing you're doing. It's like, yo, I'm on this med. What the fuck, bro? You haven't even addressed the baseline like problem. You haven't even addressed the biggest rock. But like this is what's promoted and it's what people are like they're comfortable with. That's what like the norm. That's fucked up. That's why I don't think it's bad for me to swing the pendulum the other way and say the gym is therapy. Because like if they're going this way, you can't just stay in the middle and be like, oh yeah, so no one's gonna listen to the so. That's why it's so like polarizing, I feel like. So you gotta say the gym is therapy and just tell people to go do it. Because that's how you're gonna get some of those people to be like, oh yeah, maybe they're right. They'll try it out.
Yeah. I guess you started that topic with a good caveat. Obviously catered towards individuals who have no medical issues specifically, right? They haven't been like diagnosed for certain things or like genetic stuff or like going through like drug withdrawals or something like that. Because those people like I know people who need to like who just smoking weed all their life, right? And then they kind of fully cold turkey cut it off and they're like shaking and shit and like they can't go to sleep, nothing like that. So they are prescribed antidepressants, right? So there's a place for it. It is one of those things where it is.
Why would they be prescribed antidepressants?
Yo, it basically relaxes your system. It basically not for like a long period of time, but there's same realm again, scope of knowledge. Whoever wants to correct me watching this can, but it is in that same realm where they help bring the system back to homeostasis, like just to relax it a little bit, because they've been so extreme in one area that the other thing pulls them back, right? So I don't know the exact chemical stuff behind it, but that's what I kind of know, or at least know by experience talking to certain people. So again, caveat being certain people may actually have the medical need to get like therapy or like all these drugs. But I do like agree with the fact where like, some people can probably improve their lifestyle and start to feel better right away instead of being like I'm depressed per se. Um, but that's our scope of knowledge, right? I don't know what I don't know if there's depth to it. But I would definitely add like there is place for therapy, and maybe as like guys, I don't know if you guys are gonna be in the same ballpark as me, but like we tend to not we tend to not talk about things, right? So that could be a, I guess you want to call it safe space per se, to be like talk without getting our egos hurt or like getting judged, right? I remember in 2020 there was a company in UK, Truckee. It was like a mental health organization, right? And they just hosted like a little group of like 10, 15 people at like Chinguzi Park Library, I think, or the Sandoval Library, and we just all hang out on like every like 2 weeks, every Saturday, and literally we just a room full of guys, and we just like share their stories. It wasn't really anything like extreme, but it was just like, yeah, like I was brought up like this, and that's why I'm in like involved in these things, and I do believe in talking with others as being a good thing. So I think some people can benefit from it just by like talking instead of just like pumping in the gym all the time. But combination of both, I think I'm more in the realm of that, where you do want to have the talking component, and if you need a therapist for it, or just fucking like talk to your mom or dad or family or spouse, right? That's probably better as well. But if some people feel weird talking about things, then I think a therapy thing could be beneficial. Because in the gym, you're just ignoring it, right? You're not talking.
Yo, I think that's a good thing though, if you
What?
ignore it. Cause
Why?
cause I think I forgot what it's called. Rumination. I think that's what it's called. Like, yo, a lot of the times, if you're just constantly thinking about something, you can make the problem or like situation a lot bigger than it actually is.
That's why you want to say it out loud instead of think about it. Because when you say it out loud, you're like, oh shit, that's actually not big at all.
I think most people's ability to communicate, or just have healthy relationships with the people around them aren't as good as they think it is. So they're not able to have conversations like that, right? Where they're able to open up or just go into that. So,
Yeah.
like, if you have like a shitty fucking household and you're not able to like communicate or do anything properly, like, there's still fault on your end for not probably making the effort that you can make. Because like, yo, we see it all the time when it comes to fitness, right? These guys are like, oh, yo, my mom told me not to eat this. My mom told me this. My mom told me that. And
Fucking
they just
losers.
listen to it. There's no response back. There's no actual communication. They're just listening to whatever, right? Um, but it's like, yes, take the responsibility, but if that's still not there, that's when maybe a therapist would be like, okay, yo, you can have this ability to communicate and actually like express your thoughts. Because once you say shit out loud and once you write stuff down, you putting that out there allows you to actually analyze it as opposed to it just being in your head and kind of running around wherever, like the rumination thing you're talking about. So I think from that perspective, like that's probably a place of therapy, but like, yo, most people suck at communicating and suck at taking responsibility for their lack of communication skills because they just think the world is cared to them. They just think, oh, their problem is the biggest thing. And they don't realize that like, yo, everyone else in the world is probably going through the exact same shit you're going through,
Not
right?
even worse.
Probably, right? And I think that's the hardest part. It's like people are just so afraid to have that sort of communication or get to that level that it just runs through their own head.
Yeah. But yo, I feel like a lot of I don't know, man. I think a lot of the times here in like North America, like bro, there's so many people that have these like problems, but they're not like actual problems though. Like they live pretty decent lives. From everything I've like experienced anecdotally, right, in my life, I'll talk to these people, I'm like, bro, like people are dying across the world. Like it's okay that your parents messed up on this one thing. Like your parents are living life for the first time too.
Hmm.
And they're like, oh, my parents were mean. They didn't help me lose weight. They made me fat when I was younger. It's like, bro, it's fine. Like, what did your parents know as immigrants? Right? So I think a lot of people they just put blame on one thing and they just constantly think about it, instead of just working towards a solution. And it's a lot of the times it's like there's always someone out there that has it worse, right? So I think people just want to be the victim in a sense.
Yeah, I think like there is. I know it's always worse, and it's good to have perspective. Like there's people who don't have water and like clean houses, food to eat, all that stuff. You can go in that realm. And I do agree with that. Perspective shift is one of the best things someone can do if they're going through like a spiral moment per se. It's like have perspective. I'll live like a pretty sick life. But the other is I think the situation is more relative to every individual, right? Like it's relative to the current scenario. Like, I can give, I guess, my example. Well, I wasn't the best communicator for a really long time. And still, I'm slowly trying to improve in it, and I'll like mumble words or like say random shit at times or have like brain farts here and there. But like my biggest thing that helped me was like listening to other people, like podcasts and like reading books and things like that, which I started after my accounting days back in like 2020-ish. It's only been 4 years. But I think before that, I was the same way where like the conversation I would have with like my friends would be like, yo, bro, like, you trying to watch ball? It's like, yeah, bro. Are we trying to eat? Yo, chicken and rice. Okay. Like, there would be no like depth talk. It's like, yo, how you feeling, bro? Like, are you going through anything or anything like that? Which through reading and stuff, it helps to talk those things out. Um, but the other side of it, which I guess I'm on your guys' side, is I think you can dive way too deep in it, where it actually gets amplified. So like, Manraj, you were mentioning, it's like, okay, when I was a kid, my parents said this to me, and then like this amplified when I'm older. And now it just keeps amplifying. And then you keep looking for reasons why you're a certain way instead of like actually changing it. Right? So a lot of people who maybe like overweight, they'll kind of just always blame that younger childhood stuff. And don't get me wrong, childhood stuff, you're like, there's a Dr. Huberman has a podcast, I think Dr. Hyman too. They talk about how like that's like the 3 to 6 years old is when your brain gets the most developed or something.
Yeah, the
It's when
highest amount of neuroplasticity, I think.
there you go. So like it does have a factor on it, but what does that serve you now constantly thinking about it? Right? So that's the part of like, okay, if you're constantly blaming that three when you're 3 to 6 and you're something happened, this happened, that happened, and that's why you're like the way you are right now. It's like that's not gonna help anybody. And it's just gonna amplify whatever situation you're in, right?
But
So
that's why I don't think it's like beneficial. Like if something happened 10 years ago, right? Or like 11
yeah.
years ago, it was out of your control. Like, what's the benefit of actually like thinking and taking a deep dive and like understanding it per se, right? Like
Some people, yeah.
even when people do go back, right? And they're like thinking like, oh, like I do this because I do that, and I understand this, why I operate this way, like what does that really do? Like
I
lifestyle goes on.
like you guys have read or you guys know of like the concept of like the fixed mindset versus the growth mindset, right?
Yeah.
Where like
No,
fixed minds, you've never heard of that, Manoj?
no, I'm just saying, just you might as well just explain it.
So the fixed mindset is like when you go in something, you don't it's not that you don't have personal responsibility, but you think the way you do things is the way they are and that can't change. Whereas the growth mindset is that like say like you're really bad at lifting weights, right? You're really bad at dieting. The fixed mindset person would just say, "Oh, I'm bad at dieting. That's just the way it is." Whereas the growth mindset person would be like, "Yo, I'm bad at dieting because I'm just starting out. It's just a skill I have to learn, and I'll grow into that." Right. And when you go into these problems, when you go into these things that you're experiencing, when you're speaking it out to other people, like um, you just look at it through that fixed mindset and you don't understand that you have the growth mindset. So that's where like I think everyone should read that book where it's just like you have the ability to change wherever you're at in life. Whether your neuroplasticity was high when you're 6 years old or whether your brain is fully developed at 26 years old, you can still change your behavior and your response to things that happen to you. And once you can accept that and understand you're also living life, like you said, for the first time, and you can respond and change as you're going through, then it just makes you responding to those situations that much easier instead of just placing the blame on yourself, right? And I think that's where a lot of just the culture around us has just been placing blame on other things. So you take less personal responsibility for yourself in your situation, so it justifies where you're at or what you're doing, right? And you see it everywhere. And like that's
But
where like I feel like when you talk to certain people, they're just blaming everything. It's like
yeah,
when you actually take action, right?
that's the easy thing to do, right? Like that's the easy thing to do. Like, oh, this was wrong, that was wrong. You know, I can't do this, right? And then like people will sit there and give you solutions, and like you don't want to listen, right? So it's like, bro, I could gain 200 pounds, and I could complain to you guys how hard it is to lose weight as being obese. And all the solutions that you give me, I could just say, yeah, man, I understand, but you don't understand how hard it is. And it's just a constantly revolving door, right? And I could just say, like, yo, I had a bad childhood growing up. My parents made it really hard. They never had healthy food at home. And like that's the end of it. Like if I've already convinced myself of that, like nothing's really gonna change, right? I could just play the victim my whole life.
I do think there's like some probably like some science thing going on here where like your brain is like thinking a certain way, like you said, fixed versus growth mindset, and like it just like stuck in that gear per se. Like, cause bro, like for the longest time, my diet wasn't shit. Like diet was pretty shitty. Like lifestyle was whatever. Like I used to stay up till 4 or 5 a.m. play video games and like eat Maggie, kurkure, have ice cap, meaty parathe, like the frozen ones, like all those things until like obviously the gym stuff, but also listening to more podcasts, books and shit, started telling me, oh, there's something out there, right? So I don't I think there's some sort of science behind it where like your brain can shift the wiring of it by like exposing yourself to different things. Most people just don't expose to enough things, right? So like for example, that person who's like in the constant loop of like I'm this way because of this way, right? Either they've taken the route of like diving more into why they're that way, or into the other way of like how can you change, right? Because either way, they're like expanding their mind in a way, but one of them is just like amplifying their situation. I don't know if this is making sense or not, but like a lot of people do like
Yeah,
a lot of people like I've had I'm not gonna say names, but like shrooms, people have done shrooms, and then they go and like get this like fucking realization of like, oh, I am this way because of this, and you talk to them afterwards, and they realize like, okay, like you talk to them, and they're like, this is because of this, but then the person listening, if they're a good friend of them, they're like, I know you're this way because of this, but like you had to go through that whole experience to realize it, right? And don't get me wrong, some people have really sick shroom experiences and like they end up like making fucking businesses and shit or something like that, right? But like we don't have to go that deep into it if you sometimes just like talk to yourself. It's like, okay, yo, like this happened, this happened. What is my thing that I can actually control right now? But I think there's a missing gap of like a knowledge in my head at least that I think in their brain something does stop them from taking that leap. I don't know if chemically something is going on or brain wise.
I won't say chemically, bro.
No, okay, whatever.
So some people
I don't know.
are just
Something is there, bro. I don't know what it is,
But
but
I
some
think
people
people
are
are
just
just
not willing to
scared.
do it.
They're just scared, and they don't want to take the risk, or they don't want to take the chance of like start working towards something, right? Like, man, a lot of these, bro, like a lot of these people that are overweight, right? That one of the easiest things they can do is they could just literally tell someone, "Hey, I'm gonna lose 200 pounds," and like that person, them saying it out loud will like the other person will hold them accountable because they're like, yo, if I don't lose weight, then this person's gonna be like, oh shit, I didn't lose it. But people are just so scared to like fail, they don't even want to do it. And it's
there's
like, do you really feel like bad for that person or how hard their life is? I feel like everyone's life is hard, no?
Some people are just not meant to make it, bro.
Yeah. There
So
has to be
this
losers,
this
bro. There genuinely
this
has to be
can't
losers.
this can't help people. Yo,
You
legit,
can't.
bro.
I
So
agree
because
with Kegs. You bro,
if you're
you
looking at the
literally
world
can't.
and you're looking at a bell curve of 50, like it's a bell curve. You have most people in the middle, you have most people on the
I'm
side.
always trying to help everybody.
People that statistically have to be on the side. And with the way our world has evolved, we are literally increasing our capacity to help everyone, right? We're like, yo, everyone is equal. At the end of the day, everyone is not equal
Everyone's equal with their capabilities.
with their
100%. Yeah,
capabilities,
with
but
their
like with
capabilities.
what they can actually like do in their mindset, whatever, like you just
No.
can't help certain people. Like I think I read a statistic. There are more lower IQ people now than there were back then. And it fucking makes sense because if you did
100%.
stupid shit back then, you're getting eaten by a dinosaur. You're getting eaten by a like,
Hey,
woolly mammoth or
right.
whatever. But like you, our system just accommodates for that. So now you have all this information that has to help this lower half of the system, and it's propagating into everything. And I feel like it's just shifting that bell curve. Some people you just can't save, and like yo, I used to waste years. I used to waste so much brain power trying to help these people, and then I was like, what the fuck am I doing? That's when I woke up and I was like, oh shit, like some people.
That's literally why I quit my old job, bro. It's literally why I quit my old job. I was just talking to people, hey, do this, do that, do this, do that. And they're not even listening. And I'm like, what's the point? I'm like, I don't even want to help you if you don't want to help yourself. And I got the fuck out of there. I handed in my 2 weeks.
You
So,
know what it is? I think one of the biggest culprits, again, I'm just trying to justify it, but there's probably some truth to it, but I think it comes down to a decision, right? Someone chooses, it's like, I'm gonna lose this or I'm gonna make this change or not, right? Most people never decide because they're scared of failing, like you said. But I think a big culprit is this luxury of time, bro. Like in our first world place where we have a sick life, bro, in our head we have so much time to just think. We're just like scrolling, thinking, comparing, and then like we just keep it going into a spiral of like feeling worse and worse and worse. And then it's like, oh damn, okay, like I feel this way now. But it's like we literally control that aspect. And I think it's because like I guess we're talking before this, like our parents never went through any of like this per se, right? Because they always had responsibilities, at least in my opinion. They always had like, okay, I have to do this. I
not
have
re
to,
not responsibilities. I think what Keg said before, if they didn't take action or they didn't figure it out, they're done,
You're
man. They're
you're done.
done.
Don't
They're
come back.
homeless. Like they're literally homeless, right?
exactly.
So
So
like
that's what I
when
mean.
your
There's so
parents, yeah,
yeah.
when your parents, my parents came here, like yo, if they had one bad mental health week, bro, they're on the street and like no one's coming to save them.
But that's what I mean. They didn't have the luxury of time to think, right?
Yeah.
Right now we have so much luxury of time to think. Bro, the fact that we're sitting talking about podcasts about this, it's like the fact that we have time for this. It's like imagine like people and us too, we have sometimes times in our day, maybe like 3, 4 hour spurts where it's just like empty per se, right? And that's when people's minds go fucking crazy or like go into like spirals, right? So I think it's a luxury of time. It's like a luxury, but then also if you don't use it wisely, if you don't use it towards like educating ourselves or doing something like working on your business or yourself, or like maybe starting with your family or like whatever, working if you're not doing that, then that's where the mind goes into these different areas. But I think you can almost train it because I used to go through this similar thing of like when I used to drive to Guelph for accounting, like that hour drive, and then obviously doing accounting there, and then the whole time like I would finish my work in like 4 hours and have like 4 hours free. And like a lot of times I would do like fantasy basketball drafts, or I would just have like time to think to myself, right? And that's where the mind usually ends up going into like the I don't want to say dark places, that's a little cheesy, but like goes into like rowdy thoughts. But I think that's like a blessing where like your luxury of time, right? But at the same time, it can screw with you if you're like not thinking about the right things, right? So I think
Would you
that's where, yeah.
would you say that's like because like of a lack of purpose with what you have to do, so your mind just kind of fills it, or would you say that's time?
Yeah, I think it's a couple things, bro. I think yes, like purpose is a big one, but also I think it's sometimes if some people are isolated, and like most people, some people tend to isolate themselves per se. Like I know for a fact when I keep relating to myself because that's the only experience I have is like when I did my accounting stuff, like 2013 to like 2020, it was just Guelph and I had a room there, right? And I would like switch rooms every like 6 months. There was not many like people around me per se that I would like talk to or like do things with, whatever it is. Yes, I had my gym friends. I would go to the gym with them, or like I had a couple roommates, but we still wouldn't like talk as much per se, right? So when you're isolated per se, all you have is your thoughts, right? And maybe like first few years of my accounting, that's when I used to go into more like comparison and shit like that. And then only like gym time was like my time where I would like fucking get amped up, pre-workout, sick 2 hour session, and like flex a little bit, and then you feel good about yourself. The rest of the day was more like in my head, right? But then when I started spending those empty hours with like podcasts, reading books, and like using that time towards like more growth thinking like you were talking about, that's when the mind started to come up with, okay, yo, what else do I want to do, like what's my purpose, what do I want to do, think. And like in 2019 I was thinking about, okay, it'd be sick if I was doing like this online coaching thing, and then I would be like, helping people and also maybe getting ready for a competition, and now that's like coming to life, right? So but that's only started when I started like spending that downtime through like growth stuff, reading, podcast, all the empty time, I would just listen to like Andy Frisella or like Jay Shetty or like Lewis House, So I think it's a combination, bro. I think it's what was it? What would you ask? I don't even fuck you ask,
I forgot. I
bro.
asked, do you feel like um your brain kind of go into all these rowdy thoughts, as you said, is because like of a lack of purpose as opposed to a lack of time?
Yeah. Yeah. Purpose 100% and like not lack of time. I think we have too much time.
Too much time. Yeah. So you think it's more time or purpose?
I think it's combination, bro. If you have too much time but you have no purpose, then you're gonna be thinking about stupid shit. Or if you're not surrounded by people who are like helping you along the way of like talking about good things around you. If like people in your circle constantly like, oh bro, this is sick, yo, this is whack, this is happening, oh I can't lose weight, I can't grow muscle, like I can't do this, my business not going well, then you're gonna think like that too, right? So, and then if your environment is only you and you're already thinking like that, then it's only gonna get amplified, right? So I think it's a combination.
You're gonna see the world through your colored lenses, right? And
Your paradigm.
sometimes you don't even understand what lenses you have on until you can really kind of sit there and be like, oh shit, yo, these people are actually fucking brain dead. Like that's how I felt until I was hanging out with people. I'm like, yo, what the fuck am I doing? I'm just playing video games and getting high all the time. This is fucking stupid. And I was like, yo, what the fuck am I doing? And I stopped getting high all the time. I'm like, yo, I literally stole my PS4. Like, yo, I don't need this in my life. And like my life has been completely different ever since. If I kept doing that, I looked at myself in the mirror, I was like, yo, if I keep doing this, where the fuck am I gonna end up? And it like literally took that one thought. And I was like, fuck, this is horrible. I'm not gonna
You know,
happen.
But I think
you know,
that's what people don't think about, right? I think people are so brain dead. Like they don't think about like what they're doing now, and they don't understand like cause and effect, and they don't
Yeah.
understand how like that's gonna dictate like their future. Like even when I was like 20 and I was hanging out with my old friends, I'm like, bro, like the world is so fucked. Like none of these guys are trying to get money, none of them trying to get anything sorted out. I'm like, fuck it, I just gotta go work. I gotta figure my own shit out. Right. So it's like I understood what I was doing then and I saw like the effect it was gonna have, and then I was like, okay, let me stop crying and like actually take some action. Right. But I think that's the hard part. People don't want to take action. You could literally tell someone everything. People have come talk to Kegs, they've talked to Rounit, they've talked to me. Hey man, how do I do online coaching? We literally give them thousands of dollars of information and years of experience. They'll be like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna start, bro. And they'll go just think about it for weeks on end, months on end. And it's like, yo, I don't really feel no, I'm not saying you should feel bad for these people, but it's like if no one takes action, it's up to them, right? Like everyone has the information. Everyone has access to information. You could be in a third world country and watch hundreds of YouTube videos on how to make millions of dollars through drop shipping on YouTube. Like everyone can do it to a certain degree.
you know what it is? I 100% I agree. But that moment, like you know, Kegs, you said you had that moment. It's like, yo, what am I doing? I think everyone has it, but it's just scary to leave that,
Yeah, they don't take action.
right? It's uncomfortable to leave it, right? Because like, bro, like I remember actually now you bring that up, Keg, is like, bro, in Guelph, I lived in a trap house, like literally a trap house, bro. Like I would come home from like accounting and like I would like everyone's just fucking getting high, bro. The people are selling to each other, and there's like big ass bags. Like everyone's like, it's wild, bro. Like the amount of shit they did, like it's wild. But back of my mind, I knew for a fact, okay, if I spend time in this environment more and more, it's gonna get to me, right? So what I did, I was okay. I work in accounting. I come back, I put my bag in. I would eat like a little snack, have my coffee, and then I go to the gym, and I'll be gym till 8:39, right? And I'll come home, eat my meal, and go to sleep. So I spent as little as time as possible in that actual environment, right? Because I knew for a fact there's something like not right with it. It wasn't gonna serve me long term, right? And I think most people have this realization, but they don't take action on it. I could have easily, like some days I actually did. I'm tired or something. You know what? I'm just gonna chill with you guys, and I'm just gonna like relax with you guys. And in that environment, you're like just taking all that in. If you do that 7 days a week, that's when you just get so deep into it. It's hard for you to like get out of it,
Well, I
right?
was on the other side.
Wait, do you think it's hard to get out of it?
Yeah,
Hard
you
to
know,
make the decision.
you're with
Yeah.
all those people all the time. Until you get that sort of time. Like for me, like I had the same experience. First year, I pretty much partied the entire time. Second year, I lived in the fucking trap house. We had a bong, like fucking 8 feet bong.
Bro, actually,
Yeah, like we ripped that like every other day, bro. It's like, oh, we're done
massive.
class. We go, we rip it, we fucking sit there and play 2K. And
Yeah,
then
2K. That's
until
it.
COVID happened, And I was by myself. I was like, holy shit, what the fuck did
Yeah.
I do for the past 2 years, right? Like, you
Yeah.
just
Yeah. Yeah.
but like, I was in that environment. If COVID didn't happen, I don't know where the fuck I'd be, to be honest, because I'd just be with those same people, right? Still doing the same shit. Like,
Yeah.
you do need that time to sort of sit back and reflect. And I feel like that's one of the things I've kind of learned is that I've always put myself in situations with other people all the time to where I didn't really think for myself. I didn't really have time to think for myself because I
Yeah.
like being around other people. And then now I'm probably quite the opposite because I don't spend as much time as I do with other people. I'm probably more by myself and I have to go out of my way to go spend time and interact with people I choose to interact with. Right.
Yeah.
See, I'm like, oh, yo, these people are a lot better. I'm trying to get like these people. I'm trying to have
Yeah.
certain things that these people have that I'm trying to get to. Right. So curating that environment has been really, really huge. And it can be really hard when you're in the middle of it, you don't see it, right? But I would just say, just look at where the people who you're surrounding with are, try to find their comparisons 5, 10 years down the line. Are you trying to end up like that? And then based on that question, then you can go from there, right? Because if you are, then yo, you can't. That's what you want to do. That's what you want to do. But if
Yeah. That's
you want to
plus.
do that, then you better make some changes.
But I feel like people have been on the internet for so long. People have been scrolling, they've watched so many YouTube videos, and I feel like everyone understands this to a certain degree, but they
No,
still don't do it, right? Like I think
everyone.
everyone's seen some sort of reel or some sort of post that's like, yo, what you do today is gonna affect like what you do in the next 5, 10 years, right? But they'll continue to do that. But then when they end up in the situation they end up in, they'll like complain about it or be upset about it and say like life's unfair, right?
But the algorithm is so crazy now when it comes to any social media. Like they might see one post out, but then yeah, they have 30 posts of like brain dead content where it's like, yo, it's like fucking WWE or like sports or like you're just bombarded with that stuff. You can like, bro, how often do you actually remember a video that you see when you scroll on Instagram? You don't remember shit, right?
But I'm saying like someone has I feel like everyone's gone through a phase where they've tried, they're like, hey, let me try making more money. Or let me try to start this gym thing. Let me try self-improvement. And they'll go on actual YouTube and search it up. Or they'll go on Instagram and search it up. And they'll watch some of that content. And they'll do it for like one day. They'll take this information in, but they won't make a change knowing that information.
But like that information online is also like so curated, right? Like, because like that person selling like the information is selling the end product or result most of the time, at least, right? But that person, they can tell
But
them to you have to do this to
yeah.
get here. But like the person only sees the end, so they get excited for that one day. But like if the person literally said, "This is gonna take you 10 years," then they might be more receptive to it in the sense like it's gonna take a long time and spend more than one day, right? You know what I'm saying?
Well,
Like,
why does that but why does that matter?
because
Because
like
you
the
think people
person, because
think
the
about that?
person, yeah, I think so. Because like person does it for one day and they're like, "Holy shit, that was a lot of work." And they're like, "Fuck the second day, I'm not gonna do it."
So they don't actually want to make a change, right?
E-
Yeah.
Exactly, but they did in that moment when they watched that video. So that's why like that video maybe helps. They know like, okay, maybe this is what I want in the future, but it doesn't actually show them how much work it actually takes, right? Because it's the online stuff is telling you this is the end product, right? This is how you get $10 million, right? It's not show because like yo, like build a business, market the business, have a really good product, and you make money, right? If you think about it, it's like, but like actually making the really good product and then actually doing good marketing is such a long game that most people start it, but then they're like, yo, F it, it's not gonna work because they never do it long enough, right?
It's that when you have so much information out there, it takes away from your current pain level, your current pain point, right? Because you see that one video, you get really excited, but you forget why you clicked on that video in the first place. And you clicked on the weight loss videos because you realize you're actually fat as fuck and you're like, holy shit, I need to lose weight, right? And you just think, oh, I'm gonna get to this part. And you forget this part where you're like, oh, I feel really shitty when I walk up the stairs. You don't think about that stuff anymore, right? So I feel like we're always glorifying, you'll put your goals up on your wall, like see where you want to be. When I first lost weight for the first time, I took a picture of my fattest self and I fucking put it on my wall in my room. And I literally looked at that every single day. I'm like, fuck you, I gotta be better than this guy because that reminded me of the shitty part. And people are always like, yo, they're distracting themselves from their current situation. They're distracting themselves from where they're at. It's like you have to be reminded of the pain to actually do the thing that you're supposed to do. And that's why they don't last very long because they forget how much it hurts or how much their situation sucks. right? And if you don't have that, then there's no ability to sustain what you're doing long term.
But if someone see, but that's what I don't like get, right? Because if someone's in that constant pain, then how can they not stay consistent with it? Which is weird, which is interesting to me.
It's comfortable, bro. Familiar pain. That's comfort. Like me, when
But I feel like I feel like everyone to a certain degree, not everyone, but I feel like majority of people to a certain degree, like they know, like bro, how many times have you heard like you have to work hard, you have to work hard? I feel like everyone says that, every single parent, everyone says that. So it's like when people don't work hard, like what do you really expect to get, right? In life.
this is
So
where I
that's why I
think
don't
there's
understand.
this is where I think there's like a thing. Either it might be like whatever brain medical, but we don't have scope for that, and we're not gonna go into that. But there's I
You know
think
what? You
there's
know
a
I don't.
delay. There's a delay, bro. So like I'll give my example. I remember like because I think there's a bunch of moments every single person has. Like, Kags, you had that. Okay, I don't want to be in this environment anymore. I got to make a change during COVID, right? But I think there's lots of spurts. I remember like maybe in like 2008, right? On the beach. I always been like a chubby kid and like I was on like my stomach's out and like I was just like having fun. The mom's like, oh, what are you doing, bro? You got dead, bro. Like you got a little chubby. And then right away, bro, the next day I started going to like Century Gardens, like a recreation center. And like I used to bike there every day and like go to the gym there and like this machine work, elliptical 500 calories before high school started. So this is grade eight, right? And then for grade nine, I already like lost a little bit of weight. If you see, I don't know if I can pull it up, but I'll show you a picture after. But like my grade eight picture on the recreation center, you guys would not believe it's me. Like it's ridiculous. It's funny as fuck, right? But that was one moment. But then like another moment was like maybe like some girl says something to you and then another moment is like the trap house thing, another moment is like you're looking at the mirror. So I think it's like a some people it has to have like 10 fucking moments to be
Yeah.
like, okay, yo, like I gotta make a change. For me it took a minute, bro. Like I knew for a fact, as I was playing RuneScape in like fucking grade 6, bro, right? And like I knew for a fact, okay, this is not gonna serve me long term, but I continued that trend since first year university, right? Of like playing the fucking 6 hours, kurkure, Maggie, methi parathe, kept doing it, kept doing it, kept doing it. But I knew along the way, okay, there was maybe something I gotta improve, something I gotta improve. But I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna put my headphones on, I'm gonna start playing again because it numbs the mind. I'll just distract myself. Just constantly keep doing it until I just went cold turkey. And I don't even know what exact moment it was, but it was like in whatever probably like 2015, 16 when I was like, I'm gonna do this show thing, more like knowledge stuff. I listen to like podcast, all these things. And also like when I left accounting, I was like, fuck, this is it. I was gonna work for the rest of my life. Wh- What is happening? Right? I didn't even do a lot of things I wanted to do in the past. And then I think this accumulation of all the moments combined was like, you know what, I'm gonna live this way instead, which is more growth oriented, helping or having a purpose, getting whatever, going to the gym, lifestyle changes, sleeping early. That's why I'm so diligent with it. Because I know for a fact my body's fucking lazy, bro. Like I'm lazy inherently. Like I don't want to do any of this shit. Right? But like every day I have to be intentional with it. Or my mind is like, yo, just fucking chill out, watch TV, have some chips. Like that's literally like in the back of my mind. So I'm like, fuck that, I'm not going there. Right? But now like the other side is so like more nice to look at, right? If I like continue this trajectory for 20, 30 years, it's like, okay, yo, life is going to be fun, but also it's going to be so sick in 20, 30 years, even more better, right? Whatever it is. So I've gotten more apart from like constantly not wanting to go back towards like, oh, where I'm heading, So initially, I think it's a sick Kickstarter of like, yo, you don't want to be in this pain all the time. But I think eventually, I think it's a better place to be, at least in my head. It's like, yo, you want to like work towards something sick, right? Which is more exciting for your mind.
Sure. For sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I
But
think
that
people don't do both.
kickstart,
Yeah,
yeah, that kickstart needs to be. People
yeah,
always demonize like people are like, yo, you can't hate yourself. You have to be okay with how you are. It's like, no, you can hate yourself. That's okay. Use that to start. That can't be a long-term thing. Like you said, you have to work towards something that's sick, right?
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
thing, if you're like, oh, I love myself, I'm okay with myself, you can
I
be,
hate that shit.
I'm gonna do this because I love myself, because I
I
accept
hate
myself.
that
No,
shit.
shut the fuck up, bro. Look at yourself in the mirror. Do you actually love yourself? Would you actually love it? It's okay to say no. It's okay to hate where you are. because you have the power to change that. Once you can understand that, you can use that power of hatred to kickstart your journey. But long term, it can't be a thing because then you're just gonna get into like, for sure, fucked up.
Can be a thing long term.
Nah, it can't be a thing long term.
Yeah, it can, bro.
Not in every aspect of
For
your,
like 10
not in
years, you'll be
every
fine.
aspect of your life, bro. Not in every aspect of your life. If it's like if you say that's against like body dysmorphia and all that sort of shit, where these guys like dick skin lean, they're like, oh my god, you don't look so good, bro. You're not even stepping on stage. What the fuck is
But
wrong?
yo, that's just comparison, right? Like once you hit those highs, like those lows will never feel like as good. 'Cause,
I
bro,
heard that
like
this morning. Yeah.
you could talk to someone that makes like 200. Yeah, yo, you could talk to someone that makes like 200K a month, bro. If 1 month they make 10K, bro, I think they'll pass out.
For
Like,
Yeah.
sure,
bro,
for
because
sure.
but for them, like they can't even fathom and rationalize themselves only making 10K, right? Because they've been at that level for so long. So same thing with your physique. But what are you doing, bro?
Man,
This guy's turning this shit into a solar eclipse.
he's getting a light therapy.
Yeah. But yo,
Like,
it's like if you've been at this level for so long, any sort of regression, like you'll
Yeah.
feel it, right? Even like productivity, if you're used to being super productive and one day you don't have a productive day,
Yeah.
you'll feel it. It's just like your new standard. And I think
Yeah.
those new standards are good to have. And you
Yeah.
should have new standards like year after year after year. And that's how you're going to push yourself more and more and more, right? It's like, bro, Kegs, if you went to the gym, how much do you bench? Like 2 plates?
mm,
Yeah, if you went to the gym and you're only able to bench 25s on each side for the life of you, bro, you'd probably have a heart attack, bro. You'd be like so stressed out. Like, what the
like,
hell's going on?
yeah.
Because your standard is 2 plates,
Yeah.
right? So it's just gonna happen as you increase your standards. So like body dysmorphia, I don't really think it's a real thing. It's just you just increasing your standards.
Okay, fair. No, that makes
Yeah.
sense. That makes sense.
Yeah. Bro, I can agree. So like I've been a little bit low energy last couple of weeks. So like I've been trying to get up early and I'll be like, okay, yo, like I'm gonna get work done. I'll wake up and my body's like, yo, fuck, bro. I'm just like I just want to like sit here the whole time, right? But I was getting cheesed at first, but I'm like, yo, like it is what it is. Like I'm not giving myself any food right now, so my body needs energy from somewhere. So it's fine. Like I end up some days do chugging caffeine and just going at it anyways. But like it's fine. Like it's just a standard. But also making that standard relative to the current state is also important. Like seasons, like I think Alex Ramosi talks about all the time. Seasons of life, right? Might be a season where maybe this is more priority than this. Maybe the season where like health is more focused than like wealth or like wealth is more focused in health or like relationships, whatever it is. And then like just making sure you're diving into that season fully and embracing other things that may take a back seat. I think it's a good way of looking at it, right? So that's how I view it at least, because that way my mind isn't always like negative about it. Might be for a day or two, but then I'm like, okay, cool. This is the season I'm in currently, right? And this is the season after this, right? So yeah. But I don't think you have to always be driven by negativity, like Manraj said. So
I think it's so much more important, bro. I think about it this way. Think about it this way. How many people are driven by their goals compared to driven by losing it all? I think people are so much more driven by losing it all compared to their goals.
I think I agree with that.
Yeah, like the
Uh,
fear of losing and the fear of like like the fear of losing and failing and losing it all is 100 times more powerful than like the fear of I mean the drive of like motivation. Like,
but
bro,
you can work.
everyone has like goals and ambitions, but how many people actually do them? No one, right? But if you tell them like, yo, you might lose it all if you don't achieve this, like they'll be extremely, extremely motivated and driven, right? Why do
that's
you
your
think?
habit. It's tangible, right? It's like
Yeah,
you take that away from you, then it's like, oh fuck.
yeah. Why do you hear all the time where like guys are like, yo, I had a kid and my whole life changed. They're so irresponsible and they have a kid and they're like, yo, they're just like become someone else. It's because like they know like they could lose it all, right? If they don't make it happen.
But you want to eventually work towards not always being this mindset of constantly trying to think about losing it all, right? That's
But
not a fun state to
I
be
think
in.
that's a good mindset to have.
Really interesting.
100%. So here's the thing, if you understand like that's what drives you,
But if you reframe it in like a positive way, you're
yeah,
technically,
if you
yeah,
understand like that's what drives you,
yeah,
then just put yourself in that position.
yeah. Because
Not
some
that you're
people,
actually in that
like,
position.
like if I'm constantly thinking about that, I'll get anxious. I'm like, oh fuck, I'm gonna lose it all. I'm gonna lose it all, and then I won't take any action. But I'm more thinking about like, okay, yo, this is the goal I want to hit. So it's more exciting. If I get this goal, I can do this, right? So I get more towards that. But yes, I do agree, yo. Like sometimes, like when shit hits the fan, you are thinking about, okay, yo, like
Yeah, yeah,
if I don't do this, I'm gonna lose this, right? Like if I don't do my cardio, I'm gonna look like ass on stage. Like
yeah.
whatever you do, end up thinking that, and that does drive you 100%.
100%.
Yeah,
Like let's say for example, someone has a goal to make 20,000, right? A month.
yeah, yeah,
That's their goal, right? Let's say they're at 10K, they'll work up to that goal in a matter of like, I don't know, 2, 3 years, 4 years.
yeah,
But if you tell them like if you don't make 20K a month within like 3 months, you're gonna lose it. They'll figure it out, man. They will genuinely figure it out because they know the consequences are so heavy and they
yeah.
will figure it out, right? So I think people just they're motivated and but that adds so much time, right? We see it
That's
in
true.
bro, we see it in fitness all the time. People go get a blood test or they have a doctor's visit. The doctor's like, yeah, man, you have 6.5 weeks to live if you don't lose 20 pounds. And the person's on the machine, they're like, yo, fuck this. And they're going because they know the consequences are real.
Mm.
Right? So it's like instantly, like they get motivated. Not motivated, but instantly they take action. Whereas if the doctor was like, hey, I think it's a good goal for you to have to lose 20 pounds in the next 2 years.
That's nice for you.
You think that's sustainable long term though? Like that person will keep it off just because like
Keep off the weight?
yeah.
I think so. I genuinely do think so. If I met every single obese person in the world and I told them somehow I was able to provide them proof, I'm like, bro, your heart's gonna explode in 271 days. Here's concrete evidence from God that your heart's gonna explode in 271 days. If you don't lose 40 pounds, they'll lose it, bro. They will lose it. Whether they lose it in a good way or bad way, it doesn't matter because they're obese, right? But they will genuinely lose it if they know there's like severe consequences behind it. But I think people don't have consequences, right? And I think that's the issue with like our generation. It's like our parents work so hard. People are just like, oh, it doesn't matter. I could just stay
That's
at
what I
home.
mean. Yeah,
They're
you're
like, I could just
comfortable,
stay.
man.
They're like, I could
Yeah,
just stay at home. Why does it matter? Right? And that's
yeah.
like that's our culture too, which I think is a big problem. Our culture, I don't know. I don't want to speak for everyone's families, right? But like, bro, if you look at your mom, your mom's like for a lot of guys, their mom is so soft, right?
So
Like you get arrested, your mom will be like, "Oh my God, oh my poor son, you know what happened?" Right? Whereas like other cultures, if you get arrested, bro, you're kicked out of your house. There's like severe consequences to messing up.
Yeah,
But I think that's why people do mess up. It's because there are no consequences,
that's it.
right? It's like if there was a kid and like if the kid broke something and you're just like, "Hey, buddy, try to control your emotions a lot better. I know you're anxious, but just try." Like your kid's gonna do that same shit. Compared
That's
to
true.
like if they break and you're like, you know?
The- I think it can go the other way too, right? If you do something right, get positively reinforced as well. So like
I think
rewarding yourself if you do something good as well. And then combination of having consequences for not doing something. I think combining both is, I think, this a
Yeah,
better approach in most I'm sure you guys do the same thing, right? It's like, yo, you set a goal for a year. If you hit it, you get a sick reward, right? And
yeah,
then like that's again positive reinforcement. You're doing the right things. But people end up doing the positive reinforcement too constantly without actually doing anything else. I think that's where we
yeah.
get in trouble, right?
The only thing I don't like about the whole positive reinforcement thing is people just become so soft. Like there's so many people I've talked to, they're like, I went to the gym today, so I'm gonna have McDonald's.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Or they'll
That's what
be
I mean.
like,
Too often. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Or they'll like whatever. Everyone has different goals. They'll have like they'll achieve like some small goal and they'll like just reinforce themselves so much. Like they'll have one productive day, they're like, yo, yesterday was productive. I'm gonna take the next 2 days off. And they won't do like shit.
Yeah,
Right? So I think people like if it was up to me, I would just tell them like, yo, just avoid it altogether. Like positively reinforcing yourself. Just look back at a year, and I think you would get more done. Whereas I think people do it too much and too often.
for sure.
Yeah,
There could be little things along the way where you can kind of use as rewards, like weekly date nights, meals, like, Kags does maybe, like that kind of stuff.
yeah,
That could be helpful. But like doing it, I think where the thing is every single day, right? Like you need more and more of it to stimulate yourself. Like if
yeah,
I'm playing the games when I was talking about the ice cap, it was just so much every day that I just needed more and more every single day, right? To be like,
yeah,
okay, I need more reward. I need more reward.
yeah.
Um,
Even I think that's a big part why people don't lose weight is because
For sure.
they positively reinforce themselves, and then also I think like people become too prideful as well, right? So it's like Monday to Friday they kill it. They're like, yo, I had such a sick week. I did so good. I'm
Yeah.
amazing. This is amazing. And then like over the weekend they're like, yo, I could have time to myself. And then they won't like, you know, do anything, and then obviously they'll just stay in the same
Yeah.
spot, right? So the way I think to make like unlimited progress is just like constantly like be in that pain, whatever that pain is.
I almost think now I've shifted my mind a little bit on this. As I used to be obviously a big advocate of like baby steps, building smaller habits, all that stuff. But I think most people can actually benefit from just fucking full sending right off the bat.
Just leap,
Just
bro. Just leap
leap,
of faith.
get the full
That's
momentum,
what I
really
tell everyone.
like
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
even get cheat meals anymore, bro. Right? So I'm like,
yeah,
yo, no cheat meals for like at least like 6 to 7 weeks, or even more than that, until you become in control. Most people
yeah,
are not in control, right? So I think that benefits the individual way longer than obviously if you just have 5 days and 6 day you have a cheat meal, you never really get rid of the thing, right? Because you're still relating that to like reward.
yeah,
So no, yeah, I do agree on that
yeah.
aspect. But I
Even
don't know if you have to be driven by pain, but it's okay. That's
even like people those like I've talked to a lot of people. They're like, oh, like I want to start this online business or this or that, right? And they're like, I want to do this side hustle, and like I'll instantly tell them, I'm like, bro, just quit your job and just go like all in,
yeah,
right? If you're living at home, because it's like when you're sitting at home and you have no income coming in, like you're in that like fear, so you're actually gonna take action. Whereas like, well, how many people have we seen like this online coaching stuff? They'll start posting for like 1 week, 2 weeks, and they'll stop. It's because they have like a backup plan.
for
Like they
sure.
have like their regular job, right? Whereas I think if you give yourself like 2 months, you could genuinely figure it out. I don't think it's as complicated as people make it seem.
Yeah, that that was like 17 different topics in one. Yeah, it
That's a good podcast.
was a good
Oh,
podcast. Yeah, guys, hopefully that helped. Comment below how you use the gym for therapy or not therapy.
so
Yeah.
we went through everything actually. That was actually bare topics.
Yeah. Okay. Take it easy,
Okay,
guys. Stop recording.
easy.